The old woman stared at her phone in disbelief. Her daughter had just sent her a picture of a strange fruit salad she'd found while hiking and asked for an identification. The fruit looked exotic, almost alien-like, and it reminded the mother of something she'd seen years ago, something that had been seared into her memory, something from her nightmares. She didn't want to believe it, but her gut was twisting with a premonition that this hike would end badly. Her daughter Chloe was a spirited young woman who loved exploring the great outdoors. When she called her mother from her hike, she was always excited to share her discoveries, the latest being this bizarre fruit salad. The mother could hear the enthusiasm in her voice as she described the vibrant colors and unusual textures of what she'd found. But when the mother saw the photo, her heart skipped a beat. It wasn't just the strange fruit that made her uneasy, it was the background. In the snap, Chloe stood next to a gigantic ancient tree. Its gnarled branches clawed at the sky like the skeletal fingers of some grotesque deity. The tree seemed to pulsate with an otherworldly energy. The mother could feel a chill crawling up her spine. She replied to Chloe's message, asking her to stay put. While she tried to look up the fruit, the mother felt a growing sense of dread. The salad was unlike anything she'd ever seen before, and when she finally found a match online, her blood ran cold. The fruit was known as devil's food, and according to legend, it only grew in one place. That's where Chloe was hiking. The mother's mind raced. She knew the local legends about the forest. There were tales of hikers who ventured too deep and never returned, their souls lost to the woods forever. Some claimed that the forest itself was a living entity, a hungry beast that devoured those who dared to trespass. And now, her daughter was out there somewhere in the clutches of that very forest. Panic rising within her, the mother quickly searched for more information about the devil's fruit. She found stories of people who had stumbled upon the fruit in the wild, only to suffer terrible fates. Some said the fruit tasted like pure sin, a delectable temptation that led to damnation. Others claimed that eating the fruit brought madness or death. The legends were as dark as the fruit was enticing, and as the mother read on, she realized that the hiker's worst nightmare was not just the isolation or the creatures that might be lurking in the shadows. It was the fruit. The mother's pleas for her daughter to return home went unanswered. Chloe was too captivated by her discovery to heed her mother's warnings, and so the mother did the only thing she could think of. She called the police and told them about her daughter's hike, about the strange fruit, and about the legends that haunted the woods. The officers listened patiently, but it was clear they didn't believe her story. The mother could see the skepticism in their eyes. They thought she was overreacting, that she'd made the whole thing up. In their eyes, this was just another missing persons case, another lost hiker. But the mother knew her daughter was in grave danger, so she did something drastic. She took matters into her own hands and set off into the forest to find her daughter. As she walked deeper into the woods, the trees grew darker, the air thicker. The forest seemed to be closing in on her, suffocating her. She pushed on, driven by her love for her daughter. The mother was determined to bring Chloe home, dead or alive. After hours of searching, she finally saw it, the ancient tree from Chloe's photograph. It loomed over her like a twisted tyrant, its branches reaching out to grab her, to pull her into its dark embrace. Fear tightened its icy grip around her heart, but she forced herself to walk towards it. She had to see if her daughter was there. At the base of the tree, she found something that made her stop in her tracks. There, nestled among the gnarled roots, was a small clearing, and in the center of the clearing, half hidden by the undergrowth, was a picnic basket. The mother's heart pounded in her chest. This had to be Chloe's. As she reached out to touch it, a sudden movement in the shadows made her jump. A figure emerged, tall and slender, and for a moment the mother couldn't see his face. Then he turned, and her blood ran cold. The man's face was pale, almost translucent, and his eyes glowed with an eerie light. He seemed to be made of shadows, a creature of the darkness. The mother screamed and stumbled back. Who was this man? What was he doing here? Before she could react, the man moved. He glided towards her like a phantom, his eyes never leaving hers. She watched in horror as he approached, his every step bringing her closer to the edge of the clearing. With a burst of adrenaline, the mother turned and fled. She ran as fast as she could, the sound of her own breathing echoing in her ears. Behind her, she heard the man's footsteps, steady and sure. He was gaining on her. She could feel the forest around her, the trees pressing in, the branches reaching out to grab her, to hold her captive forever. She had to get away. Just as she thought the man was about to catch up to her, she slipped and fell. Scrambling to regain her balance, she looked back, her heart sinking. The man was upon her, his face inches away from hers. His breath was cold on her skin, sending shivers down her spine. With a surge of desperate strength, she pushed him away, scrambling to her feet and running blindly through the underbrush. She didn't know where she was going, but she had to keep moving. She could hear the man close behind, his voice echoing through the trees. "Come back to me," he whispered. "We've been waiting for you." His words were like venom, seeping into her bones, chilling her to the core. She stumbled and fell again, pain shooting through her leg. She cried out, tears streaming down her face. She was trapped in this nightmare, hunted by a creature from her darkest fears. As the man approached, his form becoming clearer in the dim light, she saw the truth. He wasn't a man at all, but something far worse, something that defied the boundaries between the living and the dead. His skin was stretched taut over his bones, his eyes glowed with an otherworldly light. He wasn't human, but a spirit, an entity that dwelled in the darkest recesses of the forest. And as he loomed over her, his presence crushing her like a bug, she understood. She was more than just a meal to him. She was an offering, a sacrifice to the ancient evil that thrived in these woods. The spirit reached out, his touch freezing her entire body. His voice echoed in her mind, no longer a whisper but a deafening roar. "You are ours now," he screamed. "This forest will claim you." His words reverberated through her bones, sealing her fate. Then everything went black. The forest had claimed another victim. The news of the missing person spread like wildfire through the small town. The police investigation yielded nothing, leaving the families of the missing with more questions than answers. Some blamed themselves, wondering if they should have insisted their loved ones stay closer to home. Others clung to hope, refusing to believe the worst. The town was divided, torn between fear and denial. But as days turned into weeks with still no sign of the missing, the reality of their fate became undeniable. The town was plunged into a deep gloom, the joy of summer fading into a distant memory. Now, whenever someone ventures into the woods, they tell the story of the forest's wrath, a cautionary tale whispered around campfires to keep others from following the same path to oblivion. The forest stands silent, its secrets buried deep within its ancient heart, waiting for its next victims to wander too far from the path and into its eternal embrace.